Hey, this is Chris from the Ticket Stub. You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Weekly Business Hour. I'm Rick Schissler. I'm your host. I'm a Silver Fox advisor as well as the founder of OneBestConsult.com. The Weekly Business Hour is where local businesses here in Montgomery County come to learn everything they can about business operation, business growth, exiting your business, anything business, and particularly for small businesses in our area. We have listeners not only throughout Montgomery County, but I understand throughout the region, the state, and even the country itself. So welcome. If you're here to learn, here to share, then we're glad to have you on board today on the Weekly Business Hour. I think we've got an exciting show lined up for you. Have some great conversations that we had the past week or two. You know, the question that keeps popping up is what's going on in Washington, D.C. As you may be aware, there's always something, right? I know of people who hold their breath when Congress is in session, and then when they're on vacation, they're more at ease. But right now, they're in session and they're making a lot of important decisions. But what I think is really important for us as small business owners, managers, people thinking about getting into business is really just boils down to three things. One is the economy. What's the impact of what they do in Washington on the economy? And by that I mean the local economy, and particularly for you business owners. In other words, are they going to do something in Washington that'll either help or hurt our local economy, because that will impact my business? And those are the kind of issues that we need to be aware of. Many times it's hard to kind of distill or figure out exactly what they're doing and really the impact on our local economy. And that's one of the things we try to do on the show, is talk about local business and the impact of what's going on in the economy around us. Second area is taxes. Now that's a little more direct. Lots of conversation, for example, going on right now about increasing business taxes, increasing taxes to small businesses. A lot of good information out there. You need to take a little bit of time and read it. You need to talk to your accountant, to the individual or individuals that advise you on your taxes. There may be some things in your business as well as personal that you need to be considering. Don't get caught short. Don't get caught making a quick decision, because many times, unfortunately, that leads to issues, problems, challenges down the road that you really don't need. So think about taxes along with the economy. And last and not least, and the one that just, to me, it's in the background of everything we do today in business, and that's regulation. Always new regulations coming down that cost us money in our businesses, and we have to stay up with those regulations. A good place to do that is right here on the Weekly Business Hour. Well, today I think we have a very interesting guest for you to listen. We had Jim Horgan and Cortney Corpus. Jim and Cortney have a business, the Professional Resource Group at Morgan Stanley, and they're going to talk about how they put their business together, how about being partners, how that impacts their business, and then also give us, I think, a few financial tips to invest our funds for retirement or whatever issue that we have. They're very, very interesting, and then Jim's been at it for a long time. So please take a moment and listen to our conversation recorded earlier with Jim and Cortney. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're out on the street again visiting people, and we've done, at this point, we've stopped by the offices of Jim Horgan and Cortney Corpus. They're two great investment people with Morgan Stanley, and we're going to visit about their business, their partnership, and also they've agreed to talk a little bit about an investment philosophy that sounds pretty good, that you want to think about when you go to invest your funds, particularly for our retirement. Well, Jim and Cortney, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are y'all this morning after all that big rainstorm last night?
I think we got more wind and thunder than anything else, but it was nice to have some rain in late September. It helps keep things green
and cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's talk about, I mean, you folks are in the what I call the investment business. Is that the proper way to say it?
Yes. I think that's a fair label.
Well, Courtney, we'll start with you, ladies first, right? So, what is your business background that led you to where you are today?
So my business background, well, I majored in finance. So I graduated college several years ago. And so I knew that's exactly what I wanted to do, was to be I knew off the bat I wanted to be an investment banker. I wanted to deal with investments. So then I met somebody. I used to work at a golf club, and of course, you know, folks come in and out of there. And I met the regional manager of Morgan Stanley, and that's really what got me into into Morgan Stanley. And then I met Jim, came by his office, and at that time he was looking for a partner. Where I didn't know he needed one actually, but we clicked and connected, and he mentored me and helped and trained me to really who I am today as a financial advisor, and really cultivated me and how I really pursue financial advising and advise people. So that's how I got started. I didn't have much of a finance background. Just aside from college, didn't have much of one.
So you've learned by experience working there. But you got a great story. Right. You started at the golf club. I love it. It's a great entrepreneurial story.
I love telling it. It's a good story.
Well, Jim, what about you? What got you to where you are today, business-wise?
I graduated college in the last century. And unlike a lot of my contemporaries who came out of college as a pharmacist or as a nurse or as a music teacher, I got out of college, graduated, and I still didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. So between then and now, I think I probably did 20 or 30 different jobs. I landed something a little more permanent, and this is back in Northeast Ohio, in the computer industry. And I taught myself coding. I worked for, at the time, the second largest computer company in the country, not IBM. It was called Control Data Corporation from Minneapolis. And I worked in their Northeast Ohio facility. One of the things I gravitated to when I discovered financial planners and financial planning was that there was a tremendous need at the time to be able to crank out reports and other things on these newfangled things called desktop computers. And fortunately, where I worked, we had a language available to me to learn coding that was very similar to one that was available for desktops. So long story short, I got more involved in the financial planning, programming side of the business, and less interested over time in pursuing a IT position. My mentors at the time were independent financial planners. And that was a mouthful back then, and people actually back in those days, 1980, would perk up and say, "Oh, what is that?" Today you say that, they're probably going to run out the door. So things have changed quite a bit. But that's how I got interested in this industry and how I made my entree into it. Between then and now, I spent 13 years as an independent financial planner, finally obtained my CFP designation in late 86, and kept pursuing different avenues. I've been independent. I've been a private trust company vice president. I've been the branch manager for a registered investment advisory firm from California that had an office here in Texas, in Houston. Served in a bunch of different capacities, and I never in a million years would have believed that after 20 years in the industry that I would end up in what's called a wirehouse. That's the Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, UBS style of business. But it turns out that the timing was everything. This is a great opportunity. It's a great platform to develop my own business model. And that's why I've been able to be successful here for 21 years. Courtney and I met about 5 years ago at a time where I was kind of stagnating in my career. Some people would use the word coasting. And of course, once we got together, there was no more coasting. And
well,
so
you've got a great business story, come from a little bit different direction. I want to ask you just quickly, if I can, what do you feel is the key to a good partnership? You and Courtney have formed a partnership there, so to speak, working together every day. What do you feel the most important element or key is in making that successful?
Well, I can answer that question starting from my experience, the perspective from my experience here at the Wirehouse, here at Morgan Stanley. I've seen every partnership that ever formed fail, except the ones that are in existence this moment. And I've shared that with Courtney from day one. There's a lot of failed partnerships. Why did they fail? And why does ours work? I think it comes down to the foundation. It comes down to the basis of the relationship. And I think many financial advisors get into partnerships thinking, what's in it for themselves? They can work less hours. They've got more support behind them. The combined team's revenues will reach a point where they get a better cash payout, a higher cash. Lots and lots of reasons, but they're all very self-centered. I think what makes our partnership different is I got into this for what's in it for Courtney. And she, I think, responds to that very well because she recognizes I've been around a long time, been in the industry from a lot of different vantage points, and I bring a lot of experience to the table. And I want to share that with Courtney. So I think we're in it from a whole different foundation than most broker partnerships.
You know, it's interesting you should say that because I grew up in a family business and then later went on to start or buy a number of businesses, and some with partners, some without. But one of the things I was trained to do, in fact, by my father, is that the first thing you consider in any business deal with a partner or whatnot is what it is that they need, take care of them. And it all, in turn, you get taken care of. And it's ingrained in me personally, sounds like you as well. Let me ask, with a little bit of time we have left in this segment, let me ask Courtney. Courtney, I'm a small business owner. Why do I need a financial planner? I have my business. Most of my assets typically are tied up in my business. Why is it important that I seek out someone like you and Jim to help me develop a financial plan?
That's a really good question. And Jim and I talk about this a lot. And we say this exact thing to our clients who are coming to us for financial planning. It's exactly like walking into the mall and you know what store you need to go to. But you look at the directory and you realize, okay, you see the X that says you are here. And this is what you need to do in order to get to the store or the goal that you have in mind. And that's exactly what financial planning is determining where you are and the next appropriate steps to take in order to achieve those goals in the long run or short term. So that is really the basis of financial planning. And folks come to us to seek out professional help to develop what their goals are, what their timelines are. We are that X for them. We're that you are here, and this is what you need to do in order to get to those goals. We all know the end game. We all know what we want to do at the end of time, or when we want to retire. I have an age in mind. Jim does. We all do here. But what are the appropriate steps to take in order to achieve those goals? That's the hard part, and that's where we come in.
Most business owners are nearly obsessed 24/7 with their business.
Mm-hmm.
And when the business is running fine, they're looking a little beyond that. When they're just managing the business 24/7, they don't look much beyond that. So it takes a perspective. It takes you to arrive at a point in time where you have the perspective now that at some point you're going to hand off that business. And what do you do then? How are you compensated? What's your lifestyle needs? What are your plans? What are your goals and objectives at that point? That all goes into the financial plan. It's not just dollars and cents. It's not just how much is your bank account or your investment account. It really revolves around your personal goals and objectives. And that's what I call qualitative data. So yeah, it was great to write the computer programs to crunch all the quantitative data, and that's still how things work today. But over the past several decades, the better software, the software we use now, certainly involves your qualitative goals and objectives. That's important data. Yours are different than mine are different than Courtney's, and so on. So it's got to be able to crunch goals and objectives.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. There's no doubt about it. Well, we're going to take a short break now. And when we come back, we're going to continue visiting and kind of take a deep dive, if it's okay with you guys, into the investment philosophy that you help execute that planning part of your business. So we'll take that break and we'll be right back with you.
Second Saturday Divorce Workshop provides unbiased information to help you understand your options and move forward with your life. This divorce workshop is for you if you are contemplating divorce, in the process of divorce, already filed for divorce, or post-divorce. You will explore the emotional, legal, and financial aspects of divorce from professionals who have guided others through divorce. For more information on this divorce workshop, contact secondsaturdaywoodlands.com or call 832-375-0900.
The Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service has been dedicated to educating Texans for over a century. In 1915, the Extension Program was established under the federal Smith-Lever Act to deliver university knowledge and agricultural research findings directly to the people. Ever since, AgriLife Extension programs have addressed the emerging issues of the day, serving diverse populations across the state. Texans turn to Extension for solutions in horticulture, agriculture, 4-H and youth, and family and consumer sciences. Extension agents respond not only with answers, but also with resources and services that result in significant returns on investment to boost the economy. Join us Fridays at 1 o'clock for the AgriLife Extension Hour.
Well, we're back. We're visiting with Jim Horgan and Cortney Corpus and having a great conversation. I want to thank both of you for allowing us in and talking about the importance of financial planning, even when you own a business. It's an important thing. And that brings me to the thing we've talked about a lot here on this show during the current year, because it applies to so many people out there, and that's exiting your business. A lot of our generation is reaching the point where they want to sell their business, they want to retire from their business, or transfer it to family, whatever. So the exit strategy and your financial planning that you folks put together, how do you handle planning for that exit strategy?
Typically, a small business owner is going to be needed to help run that business when and if they find someone to step in and begin buying it out. So it's not an event, it's more of a process. And we try to facilitate that process, doing the math, doing the hard calculations, so that a business owner not only gets the value out of what he spent his life creating, but also is able to make certain that that business entity carries on after he or she has passed it on. So there's two important things. One is to get the value. Second thing is to keep the business going.
Yeah, I think that one, like as I mentioned, we've talked about, we've had some folks come in that are truly experts nationwide, offer services to help build the exit plan and execute it, whether you start on day one when you start the business or take over the business to 20 years down the road. Unfortunately, a lot of people, and I'm sure perhaps you find this as well, I'm curious to know, they don't really think about the exit until it's time to exit. So there hadn't been a lot of planning put into it.
Yeah,
is this what you find? I'm sorry.
That happens quite a bit.
Does that make it more difficult for you to do what you need to do? If I wait until, call it the last minute, to come say, hey, I want to sell my business, I'm putting it on the market in 6 months, and I'm going to get a bunch of cash or whatnot. Does that make it more difficult to do what you do?
It does. And the reason is you're an expert in your business. You may not likely be an expert in selling your business. So if you turn that over to a firm that arranges such things, you're getting into a whole new world of language, terminology, definitions, and it's easy to get tangled up in that when you, as the business owner, look at your baby as a $3 million or $5 million or whatever baby, and you've created it, now you have to hand it off. There, as I said a little earlier, it is not an event. It is a process. And if you go into it with that in mind, you can accomplish what it is that you've set out to do. Just don't expect it to be an event that occurs one day. It is a process, and it may go on for years.
And when you say that, it's been my experience, and in my work as a Silver Fox advisor, one of the founders of the Foxes actually put a program together that I attended when I first came on board, and it really hit home where you really should start planning for your exit the day you start the business. And whether your time horizon is 5, 10, 50 years, if you put the pieces together as you go and make your adjustment, at the end, you are a lot more assured of hitting those goals, if you will. And
yeah. That seems very logical. Of course, as you know, early on, you're trying to get the business to survive. Right. You're trying to generate an income, and that's your obsession pretty much 24/7. It's only after the business is established and you have some level of comfort with that you can actually sit down and use your mind to start fashioning an exit strategy.
Yeah, and you make a good point. Let's talk about your investment philosophy there and the two of you practice, because as you mentioned earlier, I think, Jim, there are a lot of financial planners out there, whatever that means. I think that definition has probably been broadened and broadened. Obviously, you're certified in the area. There's not a lot of people that have taken that step, but financial planners. So I've got a lot of choices, right? Why would I choose your firm over someone else?
Well, I get that question occasionally, and I got to be honest about it. It falls into an analogy that I use a lot, and that would be like going to your neighbor and saying, I know you had surgery down at Methodist. What do you think of Methodist? How's Methodist? And you get the opinion, or Memorial Hermann, or one of the competitors. And the truth is, that is a platform. A hospital is merely a platform on which your results are far more determined by the education, training, experience, and skills of your physician and his team. In that sense, there is no difference between Memorial and Hermann, or Methodist and Memorial. There is very little difference between, in my opinion, wirehouses such as Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, UBS. Your results is far more determined by the skills, the education, training, experience of your advisor and his team. That's where your results come from, not the name on the top of the building.
Well, let's talk about the team you have there. You have a general investment philosophy. Share that with us if you would, and let's talk about it.
What we learned over the past several decades, I was not aware of it first, but in 1990, a Nobel Prize in economics was awarded to the first time to three gentlemen who studied portfolio return. And the work was awarded based on decades of study of the results of very large pots of money. Most often it was a large pension plan belonging to one of the largest companies, AT&T or Disney or CalPERS, that's California's public employee retirement system. Those are what I mean by big pots of money. And the award was astounding because what we could all take away from it as financial advisors, if we chose to, was that the stock picking and market timing added almost no value in terms of the return that big pot of money experienced. It was far more determined by what types of assets, we now call asset classes, were in the portfolio and their relationship or proportions to each other. How much was in stocks? How much was in bonds? Were they large stocks, small companies, mid-size? Were they international? What was the relationship between these different asset classes or asset types? For that work, the Nobel Prize was awarded. And it took all of us a couple of years to really digest it, dig into it, understand it, and then learn to apply it. And that's what I learned in the early 90s. And I brought that with me here to Morgan Stanley in the year 2000. The great thing about the year 2000 was that's when a new investment vehicle began to emerge, and one that I could adopt in order to deliver my investment philosophy, my core beliefs. And that's called the ETF, or Exchange Traded Fund. We use those almost exclusively in our portfolio models because it's simply a superior construct over the mutual fund invented back in 1924 by MFS. And I say it's a superior construct for two reasons. The tax efficiency is almost perfect, and the cost of an ETF is often less than a tenth of what a mutual fund, even a no load, no commission mutual fund truly costs. So it's a great opportunity. And one of the things defined in the Nobel Prize was that the only thing virtually, and I use this word carefully, guaranteed in the investment world is that the lower your costs and the better tax efficiency, the better your results over time.
Well, that philosophy makes a lot of sense to me as well. And I think it's one that would resonate well with a lot of small business owners because their perspective is different as business owners, say, versus an employee. Not that it wouldn't resonate with someone who's just an employee of a business, but very interesting. Well, as we wind down our conversation, I would like to give the last topic to Cortney. And that's a general business question that I get asked about people that appear on this show. What do you, Cortney, see as the future of your firm there? Where are you all headed in the future?
That's a very good question. That's one thing I often battle with too here is, well, I see digitization. I mean, just kind of cultivating really the working from home, the the digital aspect of our firm and how we've got to keep up with the E-Trades of the world and the Fidelities and all of the cultivating of this the digital aspect of life as we see it. And I think our investment philosophy is here to stay. I think that it's Jim says it's been around for a long time, for the last 20, 25 years. But I think it's just still up and coming, and lots of folks are adopting that. So I guess from a strategy standpoint, I foresee us continuing to just cultivate that even more. But from just an interactional standpoint, from clients to the advisor, that relationship, digitally, I see us just really taking off and just becoming more competitive on the technology aspect.
I would say, to add to what Courtney is saying, the world is different today, of course. You don't need a broker to execute transactions. All you need is a cell phone. All the information you could ever imagine about investments is available on that same cell phone.
Yeah.
Almost all of it, everything you conduct is virtually free or darn close to it. And that's important. That's what people want today. But I should qualify that by saying that's what the young and the upstart, generally speaking, investors want today. And it's certainly out there and available for them. But as we talked about earlier, once you become somewhat successful and you've got a sizable nest egg and you've got some life choices to make, those same people are not going to be happy with an 800 number or a .com. They are going to need some personal expertise. They're going to look for the people to help them make decisions. Mm-hmm. Those people are going to be the ones with the education, the training, the experience, the qualifications, and the certifications that have done this for individuals before. That's who they'll seek out. That will be our market in the future.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. As we close, somebody wants to get in contact with either one of you or both of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, the best way is directly by phone. Courtney and I are at the office most every day from 8 to 4 or beyond. And our direct phone numbers ring at our desk and we answer them personally. We don't have gatekeepers. So our direct numbers are available to clients that want to have or initiate a conversation with us.
And those numbers are?
Courtney's is 281-362-4776. Mine is very similar, 281-362-4708. I was here earlier, so I have the lower number.
Well, I can't thank both of you enough for being part of what we do here at the Weekly Business Hour. You've given us a lot of perspective. I love the partnership you've formed, the experience, and with someone who's anxious to gain that experience, I see a bright future for what you put together. And thank you so much again for joining us on the Weekly Business Hour, Jim and Courtney. Take care now.
Thanks, Rick. It's
Thanks, Rick. Thank you very much.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Jim and Courtney. I think there's a lot of good information in there about businesses, of how to develop a partnership that works. But also, I think there were some good ideas in our approach to investing that would impact all of us, particularly when we exit our business and hopefully have some excess cash to invest. Investing, though, is an important part of everything we do in business anyway. We'll let you know the show is being recorded, and if you missed something in that interview or any part of the show, always go to YouTube or Facebook, the Weekly Business Hour page, and you'll be able to re-listen to this show or any part of it. But we're going to take our bottom of the hour break, and when we come back, I'm going to dig into the mailbag. So I hope you'll stick around and join us after the break. Thanks.
God's Garage is a 501c3 that repairs and gives away cars for free to single moms, widows, and wives of deployed military. You can help God's Garage by donating a vehicle, volunteering your time, or by monetary donation. God's Garage is located at 2106 East Davis, Conroe. If you'd like to learn more about God's Garage, visit our website at godsgarage.org. Or you can contact us and we would be glad to come and make a presentation to your group.
Did you know there are more than 790 abused and neglected children currently in foster care in Montgomery County? Will you help make a difference? I'm Allie Stevens with Casa Child Advocates of Montgomery County. We train and support volunteers to be the voice of children in the foster care system. Kids are removed from their home because of abuse and neglect, and we need volunteers just like you to advocate for these children. To learn more about becoming an advocate, please visit CasaSpeaksForKids.com. That's CasaSpeaksForKids.com.
Hey, this is Wayne Green, your host for Radio Wayne, Spoke and More. Each Saturday from 5 to 7 p.m., I'll be playing folk, singer-songwriter, Americana, blues, bluegrass, classic country, Cajun Zydeco, Celtic swing, and whatever else seems to fit. Once again, that's Radio Wayne, Spoke and More, every Saturday from 5 to 7 p.m. on Lone Star Community Radio.
You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. I'm Rick Schissler. I'm your host, and I hope you've enjoyed the show so far. If you've tuned in at the beginning of the show at 11, this part of the show in the second half, we're going to go into the mailbag first. If I haven't mentioned it, please, if you have questions about the show, questions for one of our guests, or just want to make a comment about the show, send us an email. I read all the emails and I respond to them personally. It's Rick, R-I-C-K, at irlonestar.com. That's the email address for the radio station, Lone Star Community Radio. So Rick at irlonestar.com. Send me your questions, send me your issues, comments about the show. We'd love to get them. And today I picked out of the mailbag a question that came in a few weeks ago, and I'm going to respond to it on the air. Jim M. asked, I think, a really good question. And his question was, with so many crises popping up like COVID, supply line issues, lack of workers, what's your advice on how to handle the continuing crisis I feel myself in almost every day, right? Business has crisis. It has ups and downs. That's part of what you buy into, if you will, when you start a business or when you buy a business, when you operate a business. So handling crisis is very, very important. They can be small crises like a delivery is late and a customer's calling saying, where is it, I need it now. Or it could be a huge thing. Well, your delivery of those parts you need to keep your production line going are going to be delayed 2 weeks. The ship's tied up in port. I mean, huge crisis. I've got some advice, though, for Jim and anyone else listening who is dealing with these crises, and like Jim says, they seem to just be coming at us. Some big ones, like COVID, supply lines are tied up, deliveries are slow, things are getting more expensive. We always seem like we're in that firefighting mode. So here's a few thoughts for you if you're dealing with crisis and feel that pressure and maybe could adjust and make it a little easier. In fact, I think you can turn most any crisis into a positive. First is, don't ever make excuses, okay? Don't make excuses to anyone that's affected by the crisis, customer, employee, vendor, whoever it is. Don't make excuses. When people perceive you're making an excuse, then they get more concerned, more upset. Just help yourself. Don't make an excuse. And again, that applies to everyone affected by the issue, whether it's employees, the customer, whoever it is. We focus a lot in business on the customers, and that's obviously very important. But making excuses even to our own employees, making excuses to vendors or professionals who work with us, it just doesn't work. In fact, it works against you. And what you really need to do, obviously, you need to work to solve the issue. You need to get people to recognize and to see and to hear that's what you're doing. Very important, and a lot of us need to work on that skill so that we gain the respect and the perception of what we do is raised, not lowered by the crisis. Secondly, be careful not to blame people, particularly your employees. If an employee makes a mistake and he creates a crisis or makes it worse, right, exasperates it, then be careful. It's so tempting. I've been there, right? To take it out on the employee or employees. It's so easy to be on the phone and just let loose on a vendor who's late with a delivery or missed delivery, or the specifications not there, whatever it might be. Really work hard to try to not do that, because it is so counterproductive in the long run. When you get a reputation of being hard-nosed, or some people call it a hard ass, particularly when there's a problem, that absolutely marks you and will absolutely stand in the way of you building the successful business that I hope you want for yourself and your family. Third, don't hide from the problem. Don't ignore it. Some people have a tendency to say, well, if I don't address it, it'll go away, it'll handle itself. Don't rock the boat. I get that, right? But don't hide from your problems. Address them head on, and let people who are affected know you're addressing them. That's very important. And fourth, apologies. Apologies many, many times are not enough in and of themselves. When you apologize to a customer for a mistake that your service person made, that's fine. But then back it up with a corrective action. To the best of your ability, try to solve, correct, repair that problem. Don't just say, well, I'm sorry that happened. It just doesn't work. Again, it can get turned around real quick by the party that's been offended and used against you. It's a losing proposition just to apologize. Always try hard to lead by example, leading to a solution and moving the business forward. That's the attitude that I encourage you to have. We're going to take our final break of the day, and when we come back, I'm going to offer you my tip of the week entitled Merchandising Your Business to Success. It's an interesting little twist and some research, an article I came across that sort of motivated me to look at merchandising. So I encourage you, stay with us, and we'll be right back.
Many Hurricane Harvey survivors still face losses and emotional stress. A new hurricane season can add new stresses. Texans Recovering Together can help with local outreach for emotional support, education, resource referrals, and disaster preparation. It's free, confidential, and any Harvey survivor is eligible. Call Texans Recovering Together at 936-521-6143 or dial 211 for the provider near you.
Hey y'all, it's DJ Mike from Dance Time in Texas. Join me Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. as I count down the top 10 Texas Red Dirt songs that are packing the dance floors. I'll be featuring local artists and the story behind the hits, shows in the area, as well as new songs that make you want to dance. It's Dance Time in Texas with DJ Mike on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5 KCZW and 106.1 KZCC, Conroe, Texas, or online, irlonestar.com.
Well, you're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far. I'm Rick Schissler. I'm your host. I'm a Silver Fox advisor and mentor. I really enjoy the work I do. I've had multiple businesses in my career that I've successfully built and sold. So hopefully what we do here is a plus and a benefit to you and your business. Well, we've got our tip of the week coming up, but before I get to it, I want to mention something to you. If you happen to be a small business here in the Montgomery County, Conroe area, we would love for you to sponsor our program. Lone Star Community Radio, which handles the production and initial broadcast of our program, is a local area nonprofit. It's a nonprofit community radio. So by making a donation to a sponsorship, you can be noted as a sponsor of this show. And we'd love to identify your business with the Weekly Business Hour. All you have to do, just drop me a line at rick@irlonestar.com. and I'll send you some information. It's real simple. And again, the business community will appreciate your support for Lone Star Community Radio. Well, my tip of the week. Merchandising Your Business to Success, my title for a topic. Merchandising is a term that we most often have heard connected with retail businesses. And typically what it involves is when you walk into a store, say a grocery store or a department store, you see displays everywhere. You see displays in the window. You see signage. At the end of the aisles in the grocery store, there's all these different displays, end of aisle, they've been put up maybe include product with them. And the idea of all this is to draw your attention to those products and to encourage you to buy those products. And what the retailer is really trying to do is increase their sales, so that if you came to the store to get a gallon of milk and a carton of eggs and this and that, but you see a display there, say for potato chips or green beans or whatever it is, and you end up buying a can or a bag or an extra bag or can because the display just caught your eye, it was kind of intriguing, maybe they had a special discount available. That's typical merchandising that we see. Same thing in retail department stores, all kinds of Main Street stores where you go in and purchase. Well, I contend that the same kind of merchandising takes place in almost every business, whether you're in a service business, whether you're in a retail business, whether you're selling to businesses, consumers. I don't think it matters. If you don't have a storefront, though, where customers actually come and say your business is online or you're business to business, most every business has a website. To me, the website is the heart and soul of the merchandising of one's business. Because when people come to the website, if it's business to business, maybe they're just trying to check you out. They've heard about you through some type of marketing, advertising, seen your location, perhaps where your plumbing business is located, and they want to see what it's all about, see what you're about. They want to read some customer comments, check out what exactly you provide. Does it meet their specification or their needs? Well, I contend that the website is first and foremost a merchandising opportunity for you and your business. And the idea of merchandising, again, is to increase your sales, so that if people come to a website and it's well done, it's been professionally prepared, and it's up to date on the different bells and whistles that are available on the website, makes people want to come in, makes them want to hang around for a while, right? They even measured that in seconds and minutes. How long does someone stay on your site? It's a very, very important metric when it comes to websites. And this applies to websites, of course, that don't even sell anything directly on the website. They just provide a conduit for connection, okay, through an email, a phone call, a text message. If you're selling something on your website, even more important to merchandise your website and make it inviting. How do you do that? I mean, how do we merchandise our website and our business? Well, first of all, you do it with visual. Visual is color, design. You know, somebody once told me, says, well, or asked me, says, you know, my business is, we manufacture certain products, and so we've got a manufacturing facility, and we've got distributors, and, you know, what can I do to promote or merchandise my business? I said, well, first of all, take your logo, look at your business card, your letterhead, make sure that you've got a logo that's got some color in it, right, that's inviting, and there's all kinds of science and art and science, I should say, behind colors and things, but make sure that your brand, if you will, kind of a dirty word to some people, but it's true, I mean, it's a fact. Make sure the image you present through all those things is accurate. I saw a business where they went and painted the walls the colors of the business, so that when I got a business card, the color on there matched the color in the plant. They even used it in posters and things because they were trying to get their employees to embrace, this is who we are. Well, to me, that's part of merchandising. Again, particularly in non-retail businesses. So it presents a lot of opportunities and a lot of challenges. Second thing is you need to present a unified message. Make sure, again, your print materials, your letterhead, any kind of advertising, marketing materials, they all work together. The colors, the text, you know, your mission statement or what your byline is, whatever, it's unified. So many times, well, we're not going to, I've heard things like, well, we still got 1,000 sheets of letterhead, we'll just use it up, even though we're changing our logo and everything else. Don't let that happen to you, particularly in your small business. I get the idea that we need to watch those expenses, but make sure you're unified, especially when you roll it out. Get everybody involved, customers, employees, and your vendors. Make sure your vendors know about this, because a good vendor will push your business if the opportunity arises. Make sure you're telling your story. Examples of that, you know, Hewlett-Packard, right? It was started in a garage, someone's personal garage. Mr. Hewlett, Mr. Packard, they started a business, became a multi-billion international business. What a great start for a story. And they told that story more historical. I think they left some opportunities, at least what I saw, some opportunities out there that can be done, but make sure your story carries through. That way you're doing the best you can in merchandising. And what you want to do is make sure that you understand you can do this with very little investment, right? Painting a wall in the plant, making sure your website is just right, not just something you bought that was a package deal on the web for $1.99. Again, I know we don't want to spend the money, but merchandising your business pays back over and over and over. Well, that's it for today's show. I, again, appreciate you taking time to join us. I want to make sure that you know that a recording of today's show will appear in a couple days. You can find it in many places. One place, Facebook, YouTube's another one, the Weekly Business Hour page. You can even come right here to the radio station, Lone Star Community Radio, at irlonestar.com. Click on the show tab, look up the Weekly Business Hour, click there, and you'll see the show along with quite a few of our shows in the past. We try to keep about two years of shows available at any time. It's interesting. Folks watch shows down the road. It's amazing. Don't forget to email your questions, your comments. That's part of our lifeblood and what helps us move on down the road. Again, thanks for joining us today, and hopefully October's around the corner. We'll be in the new station, the new broadcast studios very shortly. We'll show them off on this show, I'm sure, more than once. And thank you for your continued support for the Weekly Business Hour and Lone Star Community Radio. And this week, as always, stay focused on what's important in your business. Thanks.